All right. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ruthless Awakening, probably episode nine, or it's eight or nine. I'm not sure.
Probably. I love that every time we say that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
we don't know, man.
it's an
Just what's wrong.
approximation. It's an approximation, and eventually, hopefully, it gets to a point where we just have too many and we don't know.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Episode, lots
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. In the beginning, it's easy to keep count, but I'd like to get to the hundreds or if not thousands eventually. Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. This is a very informal thing. We don't have sponsors or anything like that. Our sponsor today is gratitude. It's okay to be
Exactly.
alive.
Yeah.
So,
It's okay. Thank you.
thank you. Awesome. Yeah, that's how it is. Um, Louis and I are working on a project. We won't say anything about that project right now. But yeah, so we're here, we're busy, and we're still gonna keep on doing this get together with everybody and whoever wants to listen. And I think over the past few months, I mean weeks, sessions, we've dived into pretty good stuff. So
Yeah, man.
today I also like to get us into some basics, but I think it's important to get people in there. But before we get into that, how's your life been going, my brother?
Good, my bro. I just remember how we started this thing. Like it was a meeting where you were like helping me out with advice and concepts and ideas for a course that I was developing. And then that led to this. It was just a deep talk, as we often have, like you and I at least once a week speak on the phone and just, talk for an hour or whatever. And
Yeah.
it always goes deep, it goes into many rabbit holes. And then we just thought maybe we'll just involve everybody else in our conversation. So it's pretty cool how this started naturally. It just happened without us like really thinking about doing this. We had the intent many times in the
Yeah.
past, like where man, we should do a podcast, we should talk, we should, get something online. And then from the least expected thing, which was a business meeting between you and me, where you
Yeah.
were consulting me on like, how to get my stuff online. Just so everybody knows, I'm a corporate trainer. I've been doing that for like maybe 18 years,
Yeah.
teaching leadership, teaching, business management, um, problem solving, creative thinking, all these kind of things that executives need to add an extra level of value to their corporate life.
Yeah.
And so I've always been doing that like face to face with some of the top like Fortune 500 companies in Mexico and some of them even in the world, like big names like Cemex, which is the third or second biggest cement company in the world. And I've been training their managers, and I have so much stuff, but sometimes it's like these up and down seasons in all business. It has like a up season and a down season, and I wanted to sort of do something that goes against the down season, and bring something online, make a constant income from stuff online. And then that talk was just something so deep and so sincere because I was very, you know, not desperate, but I needed a good pep talk. I
Yeah.
needed a good pep talk, needed some good direction, and it ended up
Counsel.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed
Seeking
some good
counsel.
counsel. Exactly.
What it is about. And I think something that we often do. Like I feel fortunate and grateful because we're brothers,
Yeah, dude,
because
we
I
got lucky,
know,
bro. I
yeah,
got lucky.
yeah,
You know,
because like a lot of people they don't have this type of relationship with their siblings,
not many people don't.
and there's always sometimes there's a competitive edge, sometimes there's just outright hate, for
Yeah,
between that.
like jealousy, hate.
Hmm. But
Some sort of disdain.
we managed to like patch our relationship early on in our life. And then I think
After
also,
trying to kill each other a couple of
yeah,
times,
yeah,
literally.
but it wasn't even that. I mean, there was a short-lived like spat,
Yeah, It was puberty.
Yeah, exactly. You could call it a hormonal imbalances. But
Well, could you tell the people about the fight that stopped it all?
which one is that?
Where we were like with
With
pickaxe and a
pitchforks and
yeah, you had
yeah,
a pickaxe trying to chop me to
yeah.
pieces, and I was like,
You're like
with a
a
shovel,
yeah,
and we were like bleeding on each other,
yeah.
and
Well,
then just
I think
realized
really
how
what happened.
ridiculous this was.
Yeah, it was stupid. And then we like then we smoked weed, and we were like, you know what, we
Yeah,
should do this, and we should rather hang out, and
yeah, yeah.
that's
We smoked a big bong together and just got
yeah.
high and just said like, you know what, dude, like I love you and
Yeah.
I don't
I was like, I
need this
don't,
shit.
why
You
do we,
know,
like the world's already a crazy
yeah.
place. Like, why are
There's
we
so many
fighting?
enemies out there. Why
Yeah.
do I have to have one in my house?
Yeah. Can't I rather have you in my corner and then we can
Yeah,
fucking go? Oh yeah, look at that. That works better for me too. Oh,
that's
awesome.
better. Yeah,
Let's
cool.
let's
Check.
let's
Let's
go.
do it.
Let's go. Let's do it.
From there on out, man. And then
Yeah.
like lots of things happen in our lives.
That
Our father
cemented that.
passed away
Yeah.
in a foreign country with us too young to provide for our family.
Yeah.
And also too stupid and ignorant to know
Just
what to do.
inexperienced. Yeah.
Yeah, inexperienced, probably not stupid. I wouldn't say that, but
I have a general belief that anybody between the age of 10 and 20, though they may be intellectually smart, are just fundamentally stupid.
yeah,
Like sure, dude, yes, you can reason, you probably have a higher IQ, you're fucking amazing at remembering
right,
shit. But when the shit hits the fan, your emotional intelligence and your experiential references to the world outside is so minimal that you'll
yeah.
crumble. Your
Like in
intellect won't.
Spanish, they say, no has visto mucho mundo. Like you haven't
Exactly.
seen enough world,
Exactly.
like
And so
you
you
got
don't.
enough, you don't have enough world under your
Yeah,
belt,
and
bro.
you don't have that foundation, so it'll crumble, and
Right.
you'll make stupid decisions, even though
Which
you
is
might.
good.
It's great.
Like
It's
many
part of
people are
life.
so afraid to make mistakes and thus they never learn. You know,
Exactly.
they're
Exactly.
staying in this like safe zone and it's always advancing by inches.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to stretch yourself. Sometimes you got to go way past your limits and your possibilities and
You
your
gotta crash and
knowledge
burn.
base.
If you haven't
Got to
crashed
do
and
it, man.
burned, then you have never lived. Like if you've never
Yeah,
failed badly,
yeah.
if you've never
Then you've
lost
never lived.
everything, and
No.
you've never ever given up the risk to jump
Yeah,
into that, like, oh my God, dude, this is hairy. Because if I don't do this, then this crazy situation is gonna happen. But fuck it, I believe it. Let's do it. I'm gonna jump. And be like, hey, but the rope's not tied to the ledge. And you're like, ah,
yeah.
fuck.
Well, could I start just like this gives me like an amazing
Yeah, go for it, dude.
like idea,
Yeah.
and it's based on this guy, this philosopher that's called Rudyard Kipling. Have you ever heard of this dude?
No, but I'm pretty sure I've heard of his schools,
Rudyard
right? The Kipling schools.
Kipling. I don't know, man. Maybe he was a journalist, a novelist, a poet, a short story writer.
Uh-huh.
So he wrote this thing that I want to share. Um, it's a poem that he wrote. It's called If. Hold on, let me get it for you.
All right. Boom. Rudyard Kipling.
That's
If.
it.
All right.
That's the one, bro. Can you close that little tab poem of the day inside?
Oh, sure. All right. There you go.
All right. So Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. That reminds me of Marcus Aurelius, by the way.
Hmm.
If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about and don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give away to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. Sorry, don't have my glasses on. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve your sinew, to serve your turn long after they're gone. And so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will, which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
So it's like live, you know,
Yeah.
in essence, be willing to risk it all, be willing to play the game, be
Yeah.
willing to, be judged by others, be willing to do that and not judge them back.
Hmm.
Like it's sort of what I said, it reminded me of Marcus Aurelius in his book, The Meditations.
Yeah.
He wrote that book in private to himself as a journal, you know,
Yeah.
and even commanded his subjects when he died.
To
He
like
said,
burn it.
listen,
Yeah.
burn
Yeah.
this book. I don't want nobody to know my private thoughts, please.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was like an emperor. So people's like, no, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
They betrayed their emperor,
Yeah.
and thank God for that, because you got this ideas of a guy that had everything, could do everything in his life. He was capable to execute anybody in front of anybody, and nobody could do anything. He was the king of the world,
Yeah. He had
the emperor,
absolute power.
and absolute riches. And he was not perverted or twisted and wrong. He even took account and said, well, the senators are judging me, they're talking bad about me behind my backs, but I also understand them because they're looking at it from their little perspective.
Hmm.
I'm looking at it from this and that. So it's like an ultimate goal of the philosopher king, like now you have the material. Are you different?
Yeah.
Now you got the riches. Are you different? You got the power. Are you different?
Hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, Marcus Aurelius never defined himself by what he had or
Yeah.
the role that he was playing. He was just being a good man, you know. Probably he did some bad things in the way of the conquering and expansion of the empire. But all in all, if you read his intimate things, it's like this dude was able to handle loss, failure, looking like an idiot in front of other people, being judged because he had a core philosophy.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
this case, stoicism.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I
But
don't know
like,
what your thoughts are on that, my bro.
ultimately, like I think Stoicism in itself is that knowledge of self, right? It's
Right.
like being a Stoic means like um you know who you are, what you're capable of, what you can do, what you can't do. You are very aware. Your Stoicism is in essence is like awareness of everything in the now. It's not about living in your mind in the future. It's not about living in your mind in the past. It's like right here, this is who I am in front of this situation. What can I do? And it's like potentially you can even say it's like a highly practical belief system where
Yeah,
you're no longer trying to be influenced. You're no longer the victim of your own life. You're no longer these type of things. You rather you take responsibility, you accept your losses, and it's that what that if poem says, right? It's like it's accepting all of the ebb and flow of life, the ups and the downs, the losses, the pain, the joys, and just eating it all up, because at the end of the day, that's what life's about, right? It's about experiencing it.
absolutely, man.
And so I think that's a good point. Like, I actually wanted to talk about that, about self-discovery as a thing, and how we use, for example, religions to sort of influence that process of self-discovery, or philosophies, or
Right,
ways or
spiritual practice.
practices. Yeah, and why it's important. Like I know a lot of people, not even, I mean, some people, a lot of people look at religions or belief systems and they're like, that's just woo woo. It's some fantasy. It's some bullshit. There's no way to prove X, Y, or Z. And then they're all obviously they're correct, because that's the paradox of belief that eventually when you get down to the core elements, it's virtually you have to take a a leap of faith, right?
Yeah,
Even in science, like you have to get to a point where in science, it's like,
where faith
well,
is needed.
yeah, we don't really have evidence, but it all kind of points to this hidden hole, and so we can assume that it is a circle.
Right.
And it's like,
Which is
well,
faith.
yeah, it's like, is it a circle though?
Hmm.
It's a sphere, or it's a thing that looks like a circle in 2 dimensions, but really it's a 6 dimensional expression of the same thing, and you're just too stupid to see it. So you'll get to whatever belief system to a point where you have to leap into the world of faith and say,
Right.
well, because if this isn't true, then none of my other shit works.
Right. And
You
it's like
know?
what the Sherlock Holmes thing where it says like if you eliminate all possibilities and the impossible is the only possibility that's out there, then
Yeah,
you're gonna have to go with that. Like
exactly.
that's the path you're gonna have to take.
Exactly, but even more than that, I think there's a highly practical application to spirituality within our lives,
Yeah.
professional and
I think it's needed, man, and I think it's making a big comeback in the world lately.
yeah,
Like there was a time where,
secularism.
religion was like the main proponent of science, like the
Yeah,
1600s,
yeah,
1500s, whatever. And like everything science, like many of the scientific discoveries was done by the church and blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. But then they went, as most institutions do, big pharma, big agriculture, religion, churches, whatever. They always try to indoctrinate. They always try to create a limit for people's like operating systems in life.
yeah.
So then
Access.
then like French Revolution and all those things happen, and then they're like, okay, the only way we're going to remove the king's power is by being anti-religious.
Yeah.
And that poured into science. It went into science. No, 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 no. This king doesn't have a right to rule because God made him. Because that was like sort of the backing for the kings.
Yeah.
It's like
Kings are always a
God gave him
physical
permission. It's like,
representation of
yeah,
God.
like give unto Caesar what is to
Yeah.
Caesar. Oh,
Yeah.
there's my justification. Jesus said it.
Yeah. Which was probably written by like some dudes like, yo, dude, so
Probably
check it
written
out.
by Caesar
Yeah.
in the
So
Council of Nicaea.
yeah, it's like,
Like,
hey, you know what, guys? I like all of what you guys are doing here, and it's
yeah, this
all
is good.
good, and I love
Hmm.
the control like elements. However, I would
Yeah,
just have this one teeny addendum that I'd like to
right,
slip in there. So Jesus is there, and we just
right,
let him give me my money. That's all.
right.
That's it.
Let me give him my money and my authority. Let him just recognize that it's me. I'm there. God placed me there. And
Hey,
so obviously when people
Caesar,
were
but what
being,
about all this hemp? Fuck it, fuck the hemp. It's common,
yeah.
it's grass. We don't need it to. The shit's printed on hemp. God damn it. It's like-
Well, like so the point is, long story short,
yeah,
you know, it was like totally taboo that spirituality and religion and science was together.
yeah.
So for many, many years, science was mechanical, and it's just like if and then and logic and all these things.
Yeah,
But
causality.
eventually, they're coming back to a point where it's like quantum
Yeah.
mechanics. And the thing that I saw yesterday is like your house plants. They've done this experiment where, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like science is now experimenting with the ethereal side of the world, the unexplainable, the not seeable, the untouchable, the intangible, the quantum.
Yeah, the shit that people like perceived
Right,
but couldn't prove or speak about. But now they're like,
right.
oh shit, it
So now they
actually
can
exists.
start measuring it, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of proving the importance of spirituality
Yeah.
in life. But what I was saying with these plants are like if you sow the plant, you take care of it, you give it its like water, its food, its nutrients, and everything, and the plant feels your love and feels your attention and your care, then it sort of grows attached to you. And
Yeah.
they've done this thing where like the owners or the people that take care of the plants are coming back from work or whatever, and about 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters away from the plant starts sensing that
Yeah.
the person that cares for him comes closer, and then like the wavelengths of the plant starts
Yeah.
changing to when the
Well,
person is
it's kind
feeling
of
it.
interesting because like when I was on mushrooms in Oaxaca, laying like I did a solo trip. I did a solo trip. I ate like 7 grams of mushrooms, something like that.
Damn, that's
Which
heroic.
yeah, it was a
That's
huge
like a
one.
double heroic dose.
And
And then some.
I did it myself. And well, first I did a temazcal, like a Native American sweat lodge in pitch
Right.
black solo. Like it was
That's
just
awesome.
me. And for two
Cool.
hours, I was just like cooking. And then afterwards, they gave me the tea, and I was alone there as well. And eventually, like I made myself to this ledge of a mountain. And you know me, I'm like I have fear of heights, but so
Yeah,
I got close enough to be seeing,
yeah,
but not too close because I'm tripping balls and I'm also
right. You
right.
don't want to start thinking that you got wings and you can fly
Yeah,
off
yeah,
them.
yeah. But so I was as I was sitting there on that rock, suddenly I just looked out and I could see the whole world as liquid, like not as physical, structural, hard thing, but everything was liquid and it was like being held together, the molecules and
There
stuff,
was a matrix that
by
was
by a force that would
attached
hold
to
the
everything.
shape of the liquid, but it everything was liquid. And the
Mm.
only words that came into my head was um, we are all a part of the great big blob, right? That was it. That was my like mushroom thought that came into my head. And I was like, wow, everything is connected. Like if I push this air molecule, it's actually rippling through all of this matrix and
Mm.
can affect everything else. So the fact that you say that like a plant can feel that means that if by 2 miles, that means that your radiative field in that expression of the great big blob, it's got to be like
Can be picked up.
two miles
Yeah.
away, dude,
Well, by a plant.
by at least
Maybe
a
it's even
plant.
further
Yeah,
by some photon or something,
yeah,
like you know how
yeah,
they've said that they do an adjustment in a photon in one part of the world, and then like thousands of miles away,
yeah.
it's
Well, when it's
responding the
entangled, right?
same.
Yeah, when it's
Right.
entangled, yeah, totally.
So
But
it's kind of
what I'm saying
crazy.
is like, you imagine you or like you're walking down the street and you think you're just there at this point walking down this line, but in
Right.
reality, there's a big ball around you
Hmm.
that's sending out electromagnetic information
Right.
that's affecting up to like a mile, 2 miles
Well,
away.
even the people around you then,
Yeah,
like they can feel your vibe, they can feel like who you are, and you can see that sometimes when you walk in like in the city or something, how you catch attention, the attention of people,
yeah,
or like are rejected because you're in a bad headspace,
yeah,
or like you're suddenly vibing super high and people just loving you,
yeah.
and
You know,
like you
the
just
happy
click
guy
with
walk.
anybody.
Yeah, the happy
Yeah,
dude walks into the room and the whole room gets cheery, right?
yeah, dude, it's the energy,
Yeah,
so in the Bible, maybe that's called the anointing of a
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Like
The
it's the thing
aura.
that he's got,
Yeah,
right? It's the aura. It's the the like the prana around him and stuff.
yeah.
So it's like, well, I
So, I
don't know.
mean, so the point there is like that exists, and we're currently getting to a point in science where like we're measuring these type of impact of the plants and how it's interacting with our information fields and how our impact and our aura exists, right? So if that is true, then it becomes an important part of the whole of the like of the self. Like you can't just go through life focusing on your career and money and even your body and stuff like that and neglect that spiritual aspect that is feeding that aura, that's feeding that. Because the things that you do in life, such as, like the things you watch, the music you listen to, the people you hang out to, that's all feeding information into your information field. And then that affects that bubble around you and affects reality around you. I guess that's potentially why, like, the news is all about negativity and stuff like that. Because if you could think of every human being as a point that has a field, and then that field influences reality, well, the more you align people on a specific message, how bigger do you amplify that field?
Mhm.
Like it's just you walking there being all jolly. Well, it's okay. But what about a million people walking on that same vibrational jolliness
Mhm.
together at the same
Yeah,
place? Right? And
yeah.
what happens then? Well, the whole fucking world around that starts
Hmm.
changing. And I think
I mean, I
that's
just saw this thing of a friend that, like, well, we're not friends. I know him, and we used to like frequent each other.
yes.
It's this big pastor from like a huge church that suddenly just became like a mega church in Monterrey, Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And this dude's been on podcasts like secular type stuff, and he's been on even the local news because there's been like many miracles that's been happening, like crazy stuff, dude. Like, like people uh, that couldn't hearing, people cured of AIDS, like crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I believe that that is possible, and I believe it's not exclusive to one thought pattern or one belief system,
No.
because it's energy work and it's like faith and it's like
I did that with obviously on a smaller scale, right? Digitally on Zoom with people, just
right,
synchronizing the breath and then
right.
focusing attention. Like that was it.
Well, that's where I'm getting at. There was this big drought a couple of years. You lived it
Yeah.
2 years ago in Monterey,
Yeah.
where houses didn't have water. Everybody had to have like extra things, and it lasted for like extra containers and stuff for water.
Not for a
And
while.
it lasted for how long? Like 6 months, 8 months or
Even
something?
almost a year. Like
Almost a year. Because I remember
we
having
still
to
have
go.
we still have water reductions at
Yeah.
nighttime sometimes.
Well, I remember having to go and teach a course to a company in Monterey, and then like staying over at your house, because you live there.
Yeah.
Uh, and then like the next day, there's no water. How do I shower?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Buckets,
But
bro.
anyway, so it was like the worst drought they've had in like 50 years or something like that, right? That all the dams were super empty, and as normal governments do, they knew about this issue like 30 years ago, did nothing to fix the problem, and
Yeah.
then the problem happened. They
Of
had
course.
other sources of water, but they didn't build the aqueducts and stuff to
Yeah.
bring the water.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this guy went on the news, and he like the like news lady was telling him like, so you do all these miracles in your church, do you think you can make it rain, like sort of taunting the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, yeah, it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And there was no like it's a drought, so there was no like
Cloud formations or
yeah.
yeah.
And the meteor what do you call it, meteor.
Meteorologists.
Yeah, they didn't have anything on the radar, and they were like, "Dude, this is ridiculous, right?" And so 2 days later, he was in his big church meeting on a Wednesday, and he said, "Let's all pray together." Sort of what you're saying, like
Yeah.
he got everybody together. I don't know, 2,000 people,
Yeah,
and
that'll do
praying. And
it.
suddenly, in that moment, it started raining, and it didn't stop raining for like a week,
Well, it's like
and it
that
rained like
Atlantean
hardcore.
that guy that's all this Atlantean guy that's on all the uh, podcasts.
Oh, the guy that's like Stefano, what's his
Yeah,
name?
that dude.
Yeah,
He does the same thing. He gets a bunch of people together, they make it rain. And it's
right,
like, yeah, so do the Native Americans. So when they danced around a fire and fucking played
right,
drums, they made it rain.
right,
I've made it rain with the
right.
same stuff. Just
Well, I once watched this dude called Greg Braden.
yeah,
He's got these like long sideburns, like sort of looks like a 70s character. He's old,
yeah,
he is in his 70s, but he looks like he is still
yeah.
in the time period.
70s never left.
Yeah, like the hairstyle's there.
Yeah,
But he's a cool dude, and I like the stuff he says. And one of the things he said, and I'm trying to get to like a practical way to use the gifts and the energy that we have inside of us, and knowing that that interacts with the entire existence
hmm
and real,
yeah,
from your finances to something like raining, right?
yeah,
So, anyways, this dude went with a Native American somewhere to Arizona to like one of their holy sites, and it was also a drought. And like he's like, listen, I'll take you to our place because you're my friend. This is sacred. No other person that's not a Native American can go there. And he went to this like field that's in a certain place, magnetic like ley lines and
yeah,
stuff like that. And he there was like the circular thing, and in the middle there was like this pole, and the guy just went there, stood there, closed his eyes for a second, and then left. He's like, okay, it's done.
yeah,
And then Greg Braden was like, dude, really? That was like less than 10 seconds. What are you
yeah,
doing? normally prayer for me is like, hey, let's do some like stuff,
Yeah,
like I
it's
was
like
thinking gonna be dancing
getting
or
into a
something,
train, like a
I,
trance.
I wanted a show, brother. I wanted you to like, do the
Yeah,
flying
I got my
eagle.
drums ready.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
wearing
ready,
a
dude. I had the rain stick and everything,
I'm wearing a thong, dude. Like
Yeah, man. I got a bikini on because it's
it's
gonna be the lakes are gonna be full.
gonna be muddy and shit,
Yeah, so like he's like, no, no, no. And then like they started, he's like, it doesn't work like that. So they drove back to the little town where the dudes are from, and basically it started raining like
Yeah.
crazy, like
Oh,
like
yeah.
hardcore raining. And there was like a
Yeah.
cloud formation that was hundreds of miles away. The wind changed, moved it over there, and it started
Yeah.
raining like
Yeah.
crazy. And he's like, dude, that was amazing. How did you do it? And this is where I want to get at. Like the practical way of doing this kind of magic,
Hmm.
Like I think magic is just something that science still doesn't understand. So we call it magic.
Yeah.
So in the end, this guy was like, all right, it works like this, dude. Like I stood in this place that has a lot of energy, magnetic energy and everything. So I went to a specific place that our ancestors detected for like a long time ago, and it helps to amplify your emotions and your
Yeah.
feelings and your thoughts, right? So what I did was I just closed my eyes. I imagined how it looks and how it smells and how it feels when the raindrop starts falling in the beginning on our dusty like pueblo houses that's made from clay, and the smell of it. And I submerged myself into the feeling of how it would feel if it's raining, you know,
Yeah.
and running through the cornfields with the wet like leaves of the corn just scraping on my face, and
Yeah.
just that delicious smell of vegetables that's growing and all these things. And I just felt it. I felt the rain as if it happens and is happening right now.
Yeah.
And I projected that into the ether. And that's
Yeah.
all I needed to do. The
Yeah.
rest of the stuff, how it happens, why it happens, logic does
Yeah.
not play a role in
Well,
this.
exactly.
It's
That's what
real feeling.
in magic, that's what they call set and forget. It's like you have to get the intention, connect to the depth of it, and
All
then
good, bro?
yeah, no, I just got a like an invitation. I have a meeting at 12, so like in an hour from now. But yeah, so you set and forget. That's what it is. You connect to your intention. You feel it as if it's happening. You really connect to it. Like you're there, it's happening. You taste it, you're in it. And then you release it into the ether. You say, all right. What I do actually, like I do my exercise routine is also a meditation that I've like fused into one thing plus an intention setting ritual that I do. So I'm like, whenever I'm doing exercise, I'm doing like all of these things, breath work, and just merged it into one. But for me, at the end, when I'm like fucked and I've done all the work and I'm sweating and I'm tired and I've breathed and stuff, I focus gratitude into the to like a sphere and then whatever I want and as if it's happening. And then I just hum it. I like put my thumbs on my third eye and I just hum it out and I imagine that like the waves is becoming part of the universe
Like you
itself.
use your imagination to
Yeah,
anchor your faith, like
exactly. And that's where I was coming gonna get to. So all of these things, the guy who makes it rain because he prays to Jesus, the Native American who just has to touch a pole and connect to a thought, the Atlantean dude that sings stuff and it starts raining.
what's his name? The Stefano something.
Stefano something, I don't
This
remember.
Stefano, yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
weird. But
that dude.
yeah,
Um, Point is, all of these things are working. They're different non-compatible belief systems, but they all work. And
right.
so because they all work, that means that it doesn't really matter so much the actual belief system
Yeah, there's like a
itself.
core principle
Yeah, it just needs
beyond the
like
veil.
the system itself is a container that allows you to operate the energies. It's like levers. So okay,
Mhm.
if I pray to Jesus, then
Right.
boom, and then it takes that chaos energy and converts it into the results that you
Right.
want. So,
Well, just because we are like, that's what Sadhguru says. He says, like, yeah, you can use religion or just like, like a deep knowledge of yourself,
mhm,
because it's us that's creating that stuff. But sometimes you need to say, well, I asked Shiva for a new house, so, and I know Shiva always comes through, so I'm gonna do this offering. Now that I did this offering, it's a done deal.
yeah, you
And it's
accept
the
it.
same thing. It's a
Yeah,
mechanism where people use images or like
spin a prayer
talismans.
wheel, right?
Yeah, spin a prayer wheel or like any amulet or a faith, a real strong belief in it.
Yeah,
It will create results.
yeah,
It will do stuff. So it's kind of like important to accept that side of ourselves. I feel like many people in the world are very focused on the mechanical way of doing their things,
yeah.
like their
2D,
businesses, their
3D
jobs,
life.
their
Yeah,
families. Yeah, they're trying to play 3D chess, which is awesome. And some people are amazing at it, very diligent, very like that. But they lack the other part, which is like,
the
you
fourth
know,
dimension.
the
That,
inex the
yeah,
non-explainable, the intangible,
yeah,
the quantum, where things actually happen in a miraculously fast way.
yeah,
Like things that you never expect. Like it must have happened with everybody, where you're like sort of anticipating something, and then one day you actually really believe for something that
yeah,
it's really going to happen,
yeah,
but you're sort of detached from it at the same time.
yeah,
Like you're like, okay, it's going to happen. I don't care how it happens,
yeah,
but I know it's going to happen for some reason. And when you get to that part where you really deeply inside of you know, then you probably or definitely start projecting, like with the plants, an energy field around you that must be causing a cause and effect chain of events, like a domino effect of
yeah,
positivity or negativity.
yeah,
Like if you're like, man, I know this is gonna be fucked up. It's gonna be a shitty situation.
yeah,
Then you're kind of the cause of that effect. You
yeah.
know,
And also considering the
and
2 mile radius, like of the plant detection, right? Just saying that as a, obviously, I'm not saying that that is what
that's a
we
definite
project,
like
but
a
let's just say,
distance. Yeah,
yeah, it
I think it's
creates.
till the ends of the universe,
Yeah,
personally.
probably. But in that specific field, if you're negative and you're just continually impacting more negative stuff into it, it makes sense that bad shit continues to happen because you're like, oh, okay, in this space, I want to be angry. In this space, I want to be happy. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be grateful. When you focus, and it makes sense that because you're vibing at the different frequencies, you're attracting those different elements within that space. Because we are also moving through space. It's like we tend to forget
Right.
that we exist
Yeah.
within a space and there's things that
Right.
exist within our space. And so when we walk
Right.
through this world, we're either vibing at a higher vibration or lower vibration and bringing in more of the same. And so that's really it's and to be able to not be subjected to your emotionals, not to be held hostage by it, you need to be absolutely self-aware. Like it's about
Yeah.
becoming
Self-aware, and also,
awakened.
as you said in the beginning, being present.
Yeah,
Like Stoicism, it's like about being present and being logical. I think they were a little bit too logical in a sense. I
yeah,
think they allowed a little too little for spirituality
yeah,
because they were focused a lot on logic.
yeah,
So, but nonetheless, it was a practice.
yeah.
So what do you think are some good practices that people can do, that will help them activate their spiritual side and sort of play with the creative power that we all have as humans? Like
Well, yeah, I would.
maybe some experiments. I like, for instance, for me, I've experimented. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna see if this works. I'm gonna see if this works. There's been times where like work was super slow, didn't have any cash, and I'm like was foreseeing a possible difficult time financially for like the next month because I didn't make enough money the month before. And when you're a contractor, you live on the ups and downs of you don't have stability. So
Yeah,
you got to practice a lot of faith. And there was these times that I'm like, okay, I have no idea what I'm going to do for income the next month. I have nothing on the horizon. There's nothing happening. But I'm going to actually try to create something, you know, and I do it in a humble way. Like it's not like I am God and I'm gonna now start creating the heavens and the earth. You know, like it's more of like I am who I am.
Yeah.
You know, like I accept myself and the gift that the all or the creator placed in every single human. You know,
Well, yeah, it's
so
crazy. Yeah.
I remember times where I was sitting there like, okay, come, work, come, money, come. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know who,
And then there
but
was
come.
like a pile
That's
of
all
money.
I'm believing.
There's a pile of money jacking off in the corner. It's like not different coming.
Coming, not like that, man.
God damn
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like yeah, I'm gonna come.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
come.
that. So
But then work would
anyway,
come, right?
then like suddenly
Yeah.
from the least expected place, like I remember once, Cemex, I had no real relationship with them. Cemex, like I said before, is a very big like cement company, you know.
Yeah.
And uh and suddenly the director, like the top level guy of like labor relations, was like, "Hey, Louis, you've been recommended to us by this other union that works with us, but we want you to come and do like a closing talk and a dynamic and a ceremony with this other union that's got nothing to do with the union that you have relationship
Yeah.
with. They recommended you, and please, we'll bring you over to Puerto Vallarta. You can stay there with your wife for the entire weekend. We'll pay for all expenses, and we're going to pay you a handsome sum of money for doing the
Yeah.
conference and the thing. You know, it's like, would you be willing to do this? You know,
Please.
like,
Please.
and it's like, dude, it's like a day earlier, I was actually doing this ritual, so to
Yeah.
speak. You know, what I do, me myself personally, what works for me is going out by myself, being silent, calming my mind, calming my emotions down, my nervousness, my fear for the unknown, my fear for the circumstance that I'm leaving right now, and just saying, like, okay, dude, let's get all that out of my mind right now. Let's relax as much as I can and just emit. Like, I feel like it's coming from my heart. I feel like I'm emitting it from my heart, you
Yeah.
know? And then that, and then I just stopped. Like it's like okay, it's not that I don't do anything. I still put proposals in. I'm still knocking on doors. I'm trying to sell.
Yeah.
I'm doing my part,
Yeah.
but I did that like work that suddenly just makes other things happen. You
Yeah.
know,
Also, and it's like you have
and
to
it's
then
happened countless
you you
countless
you
times.
put the it's the set and forget principle. It's like, okay,
Right,
I've done the work. I believe the faith. I believe this. I am in it. It's true. And here you go, universe, God, whatever your system is. And then
right.
you clap your hands, dust off the fucking dust, and then, go and do the shit that you got to do. And
It's
that's
like it's
done now.
done.
It's done. I
Right,
can accept it. And that's really where you want to
right.
get to. It's like when you set an
Mm-hmm.
intention, it's about like, okay, it's done. I believe. I don't know how. I don't know how. Like that's the fundamental thing. You don't need to know how. And it's better to not know how. Because if you know how, and this is where I think a lot of people have actually the biggest issues with manifesting is that they believe that it's going to happen in a particular way. They're like,
Right.
in my finite
Yeah,
mind,
yeah. Right.
this is how it's going to happen. And then
Yeah.
God or the universe is in its infinite mind is like, no, but if we just do this. Okay, so check this out. This is obviously
Like, don't limit me.
this could
Right.
totally just be my ego shit. But so I vape like nicotine and uh, they recently banned in Mexico vapes. And I've been toying with the idea, not seriously. Be like, yeah, maybe I should stop vaping so much. Maybe I should take a break for like, a few months or a year or, a few years. Like I quit smoking completely, but vaping I enjoy every now and then. But then in Mexico, they were like, all right, we're just gonna ban vaping. And entirely. And I was like, well, it's kind of coincidental that it happens right as I was toying with these ideas. Kind of feels like there's some higher power pulling the strings. Now, obviously, I'm making this all about myself when in reality, a million other things happen. But that's how I'm interpreting it.
Right.
And I give it substance and meaning, and therefore it's helps strengthen my own belief system and shit. And if it doesn't work, then that's how it is. Like we all have our scapegoats on when your system doesn't work. Like, oh, it's the will of God, or some other. This is why it didn't work. It's not. But the point is, it's the system allows you to be able to tap into that thing via a particular method, and then at the end of the day, you are able to let go and
Exactly.
give your trust and worry to this higher power or this higher belief. And then you can just focus on the shit that you need to do.
When you were a practicing Christian, do you remember anything that you did that like created a miracle? And is it the same as these kind of like core thing, in essence, without like removing the mask of um, of Christianity or religion? Like
I
was there
I
stuff that
to
you did that you feel made miracles happen? Like not talking about healing or anything like that.
no, I'm thinking. I mean, I think this is how I think about that. I think the grace of God is present in all moments, and that's good moments and bad moments. And
Yeah,
I think that what we lived could have been infinitely worse.
yeah,
And I
it could have been.
think that the misery that I endured was one of the best versions of the misery that I could have endured
Yeah, that's a
back in
very
that.
good way of seeing it. I really totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like I think that, I mean, just so people have perspective, I don't know if have you ever told anybody about this, like how it was? I don't want to go like deep into it, but in essence, we came from South Africa. My father had a multi-million-dollar company at that stage. He was a partner of it. Him and another guy from England, and they've built up this company over like 10 years, business consulting, management consulting, and they were helping a lot of companies like big mega projects, like Indonesia's power plant was one of their projects in Jakarta. Many of the gold mines in Africa,
Yeah.
hospital systems, blah blah blah. Long story short, they had like 70 different offices around the world by the time we came to Mexico.
Yeah.
And we came to Mexico to start the American operations, right? Like the Latin and North America,
Yeah.
and explore that world. And and then like from one moment to the next, like the partner did something financially. It was still back in the late 90s. So there was some bank fraud happening, and he basically emptied all the accounts and left us high and dry over here. And then the journey started where
Yeah.
we basically, started the fall slowly.
Yeah.
Over the next 3 years, we were just losing things, cars, houses,
Then
everything.
we
We
got
had
a
to like,
little bit stable. Like I feel
right.
like we
Yeah,
we
we got some stability when we moved,
because
like,
people got to remember, like it wasn't just that his partner booked on him and the money went gone. Right after that, 9/11 happened, and then
right.
it's like,
And
and
also
then
the burst, like the bubble burst.
the
So
Y2K.
finances were
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
9/11 happened.
it was a
So
shitstorm. Yeah,
it was a shitstorm, financially and politically and geopolitically and everything. And then like he was surviving by doing some small consulting jobs, just keeping our family sort of alive. That's when you and me went to California to
yeah,
pack trailers. Like we were illegal migrants.
yeah,
We went legally to the country, but we worked, and made
yeah,
some cash and stuff in
yeah.
LA.
We
Shout
worked.
out
We
to our
worked like,
homies.
yeah. We worked
We worked
amongst.
like the illegal migrants, from
Yeah,
4 o'clock in the morning, packing
yeah.
trailer trucks and shit like that.
Rap
But
and shit.
anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, making some cash. And and so it was a bad situation, but even that was a lesson. Even that was a growth.
Yeah, but
And
it could have
then
been worse. That's
could have
what I'm
been
saying.
much
Could have
worse,
been
right?
infinitely worse,
And
right?
then suddenly, like, we were then became very close to God. We became very religious because we had no other option. We didn't even speak Spanish at that stage very well.
Yeah,
And like, we were just like serving God, thinking that God will serve us, like
yeah,
an interchange. So we
yeah.
did that.
Conditional, conditional.
Right, conditional,
Yeah,
Christianity or whatever. And we did many things, many miracles happened when we did those things. But
many people's lives were touched too, like for the
and this
good.
is the short version, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
We
there's
ain't
so many
getting, we're
adventures,
not getting it deep into this.
you know.
Yeah,
But then suddenly one day we were walking back from church. By that time, we have sold or lost all of our 5 cars that we started off with here, and and uh, and then we were living on a hill in a house that somebody lent us while my dad was going to get his finances back in order and then buy that house. So we were living for free in somebody's house, like, or paid very little rent at that stage for that house. And we were walking up, and dad couldn't make it. He was just like, dude, what? But I don't know if you were there that time. You might not have been there that time. And but then dad was like, he couldn't make it up the hill. He
yeah,
sat on the sidewalk there, just like beaten,
yeah.
and this was like after a couple of years later, after the
Yeah,
partner
and
became
like
again.
people need to understand that he died at like 45. So
Yeah,
he's not an old dude at this point.
no,
He
I'm
was a,
44.
yeah, he was a year older
So
than Louis right now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So he was young, he was strong, and he was very fit and everything. And then like I was like, Dad, what's up, dude? Why can't you walk up this little hill? And he was like, I don't know, man. I think I'm dying. I remember
Jesus.
that moment. He's like, I think I'm dying, son. And I was like, don't say that, dude. Hallelujah, man, Jesus, and church, and don't even let those negative thoughts come.
Yeah,
It's a bad thing to hear. And then literally 2 weeks later, he died.
yeah,
You know, he died of like an invasion of lymphatic cancer
yeah,
and a life of debauchery.
yeah, yeah,
Before that.
yeah,
So he died of that,
yeah.
and
And then
it was
after that, that's when the real fun started.
after that's when the shit started.
Yeah,
And we had to leave like that same day that he died. It was like the end of November, chilly, like
yeah,
ice rain. There was ice rain in the city. And that day, dude, the friend of my dad that got us hooked up with the owner of this house that let us live there until we land this big project that dad was working with, a mining company in South Africa, $1 million, by the way. Early 2000s, that's 2001. And so just imagine what is $1 million of 2001 money versus
yeah, yeah.
the value of now. Point is, that day the dude came. He's like, "No, you guys can't live here anymore." It's like, my dad just died. Yeah, that's why
That's
I'm here.
why. That's
So
why.
I'm cutting your gas, I'm cutting your water, and I'm cutting your lights.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And we like went to the mountains and got some sticks and shit to heat up water for
Yeah.
ourselves to like on the fire,
Yeah,
like
well,
cook
what
like a
this
barbecue.
dude forgot is that we are African. Like,
Yes, man.
so
Exactly.
if you wanna come out there
Yes.
and cut our shit, like that ain't gonna
Yes.
stop us to do
Yeah.
what we
Yeah,
need
no.
to do.
La cigüeña. It's like
Go.
una mana, una mana.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah, we do
So
what we
we
need to
we
do.
still stayed there for a week, and then
Yeah.
like Blessed Church, they got us a place to stay at. This lady that was so awesome also destroyed her. She emotionally, mentally, like Koti. Remember,
Yeah.
she let
Yeah,
us stay in her.
but before that we went to a different place. Like after that we went to a
Oh
different place.
yeah. First, then we went to like you and me in the pastor's house, mom and Luce in an apartment
Yeah.
that they
And
lent
then we
them.
found a place in
Lynette
like
and Timo.
Cedros and
No,
then
no. First it was the center, then Cedros, my bro.
no.
No, it was first Cedros, then the center.
Yeah.
Whatever. This is the
Doesn't
short
matter.
version,
Yeah.
ladies and
Doesn't
gentlemen.
matter. It was
There's
like,
so much shit,
yeah.
you know.
Point is,
Point
what
is, we ended up like, going through some real dark times, but it could have been darker.
yeah, but
And
that's what I'm
maybe, as
coming
you're
at.
saying, dude,
That's what I'm saying. Is that
you know,
the question was like, what do you think about like what did I create within that paradigm? I was like, I don't think I was
right,
supposed to. I think I was
right,
supposed to survive, and I think
yeah,
that that was the means that somebody without guidance and
right,
somebody without understanding and somebody without a dad and somebody that without a mom and somebody without all of these people that was pretty much like in a foreign land. There was just these dumb, inexperienced motherfuckers that
Yeah,
have to take care of all of the shit.
yeah.
That
Like
system,
our mom, by the way, was like totally sidelined by this. I mean,
yeah,
like nobody expected the guy to just die
yeah,
suddenly, you know. And then like all the stuff that she found out because of the debauchery and stuff like
yeah.
that days before he died, like just emotionally made
There's
her
yeah,
insane.
it was a
It,
nuke.
un,
Yeah,
she was not capable of functioning normally, you
yeah,
know, and totally understand that, you know. But you and I were alone, trying
yeah.
to find our way in the life, in the world, you
I
know,
was
like trying to
18.
figure, yeah,
Like I
trying
was
to
8.
figure shit out, you know, like,
Yeah,
and it was a tough time. But as you just said, like it probably was the best of the tough time
yeah,
because I
exactly.
still remember your homies coming up there, you know, and I was having some beers on the roof and
Yeah.
just chilling. There were some moments that we could enjoy still, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. No, and it was part of the journey, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like um for me, that's what Christianity was. It was like the wrapper that allowed me to connect to God, quote, the universe, whatever,
right,
shim, whatever they want to
God,
call it.
yeah,
Um and be able to at least heal to a point where I was like okay enough to go back out on my own
right,
because that's when God told me to get out.
right,
He's like, all right, dude, you did your time here.
mm-hmm,
You've healed. You're not a junkie. You're not this. You didn't go down that. You didn't run away from home. You didn't do these
right,
type of things. Um, Now you're here. You've got enough wisdom to not kill yourself. It's time to
right,
fucking venture out into the
right.
wilderness again.
Find
And
out who you are, you
yeah,
know,
and find out
but
who I am, which is
right,
what it's about. But the point is that the spiritual journey is as much a part of it all. And it's probably one of the more important things. It's like, your goals and all of these things are great, but ultimately there's like something in your spirit that you need to chase, that you need to find, that you need to go after. And whatever your mechanism of reaching divinity is, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Buddhist or this stuff. Like it doesn't matter. We're
all
all,
things come from God.
yeah, exactly. Ultimately, everything is source. So,
Yeah,
uh,
comes from the all.
yeah. So at the end of the day, find something that works for you. In my case, I embraced magic. And it took me such a long time to actually embrace magic, to say this is a system that I can operate in. Because from the Christianity perspective, renouncing that is basically saying, I want to go to hell, right? It's like that. So,
Right.
but you got to then like
That was very
overcome
scary.
that concept as
That
well.
was very scary.
Yeah.
Like uh, being willing to explore. Like me and my wife were talking about this yesterday. Like it's kind of interesting that both of us are in this point where we're exploring alternative belief systems and practices and things outside of Christianity. You know,
Yeah.
like for me, it's been a longer journey than for her, but she's also on that path of just uh, seeking, but in a free way, not
Yeah.
being afraid, you know, because the factor of fear and the factor of hell and the factor of condemnation for eternity, because you don't take the path, is a very, very scary thing if you've
It's
been
very,
growing up in that since you're a kid. I mean,
yeah.
South Africa is a very religious country, or was a very religious country when we were young. Everybody was Christian. Everybody was, you know,
Yeah,
like Jesus.
even if you weren't Christian, you
Even
were
if you were
Christian.
this piece of shit, slimy ass alcoholic, you're
You're
still
still
going to
Christian.
church on
Yeah,
Sunday and you're still believing in Jesus, you
yeah.
know, like,
Jesus.
and yeah, exactly, bro. So it was a scary thing to break free from that trap. I don't think everybody is supposed to break free from
Nah,
their religion. I don't
nah.
think everybody is. I don't think everybody can handle, you know, because there becomes this anger and this hate from many people. It's like, oh, these guys been trying to box me in and stuff. I'm super thankful for our like Christian pathway, you know,
Yeah,
like the walk we did. I'm thankful for that because it helped us start entering
yeah. It's
intangible.
a base operating system to be
It's
able to
like
engage with the divine.
kindergarten magic, you know,
Yeah,
like it's like
yeah,
it's not. It's not solid meat. It's
It's
milk
color
for
by
days.
numbers. Yeah, it's color
Yeah,
by
it's
numbers, right? It's like
exactly, and that's awesome.
it's
You know,
great.
that's
If you
awesome
don't, if you
because
have nothing, then do that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the good
You
thing
know,
about Christianity is also like multitude beliefs. So, like for
right,
example, in magic,
and
there,
community apart from
yeah,
that. You
but
know,
but
but
for
yeah,
example, in magic, there's so like dispersed. There's like this type of
yeah,
magic and that type of
right,
magic and
right,
whatever. And then chaos magic is even fucking more fractaled. It's like
yeah,
your kind of magic,
yeah,
not even
yeah,
everybody else's.
yeah.
But within Christianity and Buddhism and these systems, a bunch of people
Right.
believe the same things, and that
Yes.
also gives it power. That
Oh,
gives
well,
it that
definitely.
extra like
It
ability
amplifies.
to
It
do shit.
amplifies
Exactly.
the energetic value of what's projected or
Yeah.
desired, such as this pastor or asking for rain, you
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
or like the Indian dude, the Native American,
Yeah.
that he has ancestors that's done that thing for
For him.
thousands
Yeah,
of
he's
years.
just tapping
You
into
know,
that like
yeah,
oh,
like
oh
he's
great.
joining their energetic force, if
Yeah.
you can say,
Over time. Yeah. So the point
So
is
yeah, dude.
like it's an important aspect. I think that's why I like to call psycho spiritual development because the spirit is important and it's just as important, if not more important than anything else that we do. And I think the basis and the fundamental part of that is self-discovery. I think it's probably one of the most
Absolutely, dude.
spiritual things that you can do is to
Well,
say,
it's
stop.
a block in what you are.
Yeah.
Maybe the base block.
Yeah.
Like when you were saying like how spirituality is important. I once took this course. It was like a year-long certification in like holistic coaching and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And the guy that did it has been for 30 years, investigating how you went to India and did some rituals and how to like, create prosperity or deal with your shadow, stuff like that. Went to Peru. He always is trying to like, he's a Catholic, but he's trying to like explore the width
Yeah.
of spirituality. And one thing he was talking about was how the chakras, like, the root chakras, got to do a lot with prosperity and like that your business is doing well. And as you go up, and then you get to the seventh chakra, which is like spirituality. And he was saying, if you can get your spirituality right, all the other things will align anyways,
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
Like, if you could start there, like, or you start at your root and fix your who
Yeah.
you are as a carnal being and a physical piece of meat, you
Yeah.
know, or if you can go to the ethereal and start there, and then it just trickles down and sort of
Yeah.
aligns all of your
Yeah.
chakras.
I
And then when
actually have
you're,
a meditation that I did, which is like it's a chakra breathing thing. But I start at the crown, and
yeah,
usually people start with their meditation
at
at the
the
thing.
root,
But that specific one,
right?
I start at the crown and move down to the
Yeah,
root, and then at the end, like, and the thing is like, and it's really simple. Like you can do a breath work thing where you just basically like picture the crown, may picture
share it
like
in
a
the link in the bottom, dude.
yeah,
Share that in the
I'll
link.
do that. It'll be in if people want
Yeah,
to check that out, they can check it
yeah,
out.
share
But
it, man.
basically, it's just like imagine a mouth in that area, and
Mhm.
then when you're breathing in, imagine that mouth is breathing in, and
Yeah.
then when you exhale, you shoot it all through the crown like a,
Mhm.
and then you
Well, now that you're saying
that's
imagining,
it.
dude, it
Yeah,
reminds me of like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, all these guys, and they were always asking them like, "What is your major like thing?"
yeah,
And most of them were saying imagination.
yeah,
Imagination, creativity. And many of the guys that did great things on this planet have this hidden secret
yeah,
that they're actually highly spiritual beings, and
yeah,
they're people that have a practice that they've found out that works for them. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so
Totally,
if for you it is your religion, then
so
do
be
it
it.
and do it earnestly and do it
Yeah,
sincerely and be the best of those guys. Like I know some lovely Christians, some lovely Catholics, some real people, that earnestly are seeking to be like the God they serve.
yeah,
And it's great, you know. And then I know people like you and me that ventured out on our own and sort of, had to go first past that first fear of like, man, if I do this, am I going to go to hell?
yeah,
I don't want to go to hell, dude. Never, ever, ever.
yeah. Where's your
So
microphone?
it's down here. Why? What's
Because
happening?
I'm hearing it like every time you move your head, it goes.
Oh, it's moving. Well, it's
Yeah.
on the zipper of my
Ah,
thing,
okay.
dude.
All
That's
right.
probably why. How's it now? Better?
That's perfect. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no.
it was bumping against the zipper of my
Yeah.
jacket. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Anyway,
so
I
yeah,
that
dude.
100%, and I think we can leave it at that for now. I think this
Cool,
is a
bro.
good spot. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're going to talk about this type of stuff. People want to hear more about this kind of information, or if something came up for you guys, and you guys like, oh yeah, we'd like to explore that even more.
Right.
Even if you want to ask about more about our past and the bullshit that happened then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like the journey.
yeah,
Maybe next time,
we
even if
could
they
do.
don't ask, let's talk about the journey, you know? Let's
That's
talk
it.
about where we come from,
Yeah,
uh, some of the main things that happened,
yeah,
how you experienced, how I experienced it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
just how what happened to us. How in the end of all of that shit,
yeah,
it was actually beautiful.
yeah.
Like
Totally.
how all that suffering and all that stuff and all that pain and all that sadness and all that desperation and all that lack of hope, because it was dark, man.
It was totally
If
dark.
I go back to the times, it's like it was so dark, you
Yeah.
know. But what was the major benefit after it all? Like hindsight, you know.
Yeah.
I see this dude. We got this community on Facebook, South Africans living in Mexico,
Yeah.
and uh, and there's a bunch of us, and there's this one dude that suddenly started posting like, "I wish I wasn't alive anymore." He's
Hmm.
like 30 something, right? And I don't know what happened. I'm guessing a girl left him or something like that.
Hmm.
But he's like now constantly posting little messages on Facebook, which, I have my reserves about. And he's talking about how terrible he feels and how he wishes that life wasn't so long and all this kind of shit. And
Hmm.
then we some people started writing like, dude, what's up, man? Cheer up, blah blah blah. And then like I'm not really one for pity parties.
Yeah.
Like I don't like people going through a pity party, and I don't like it when people post on Facebook like, and there it is, and then you got to start asking them questions and shit. It's like fuck
Yeah.
you, man. Just tell us what's wrong with you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like why are you saying all this shit so that people start like you're attention seeking, and
Yeah.
that's like a kid.
Yeah.
So whatever. I have my issues with shit like that. But the point is, I probably did something wrong because he deleted the post, but I did see he responded, and when I wanted to check back uh, to what he responded to, what I put in his comments below, his like, "I wish life fucking sucked," or like, "I have no will for living," or some shit like that. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
And I said in a comment, "Do you still wake up with morning wood?" And then I was like, you know, he replied, obviously. And then he deleted the entire post, so I could never saw what he
It's
replied.
funny.
But I'm pretty sure he didn't like it, and he stopped posting bullshit like that on fucking Facebook.
It seems you have some will to live. At least your
Yeah, it's like
wood does.
something in you wants to live, bro.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
that's alive, you're alive,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Like
You
he
gotta
was saying,
fill
like
that hole.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm dead, bro. And I was like, yeah, you still waking up with morning wood? And then it was like he read something. I saw that he commented. I was busy doing some other shit, so I wanted to see the comments so I could start like fucking jabbing at him.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
then
you just want to get in. You want to get into.
yeah, just fuck with people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that's good. Like so like fuck you, man. Like shake the fuck awake.
Yeah.
Like you're not dead, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then he stopped posting this whole sad shit, like
Yeah.
in general, because
Yeah.
daily he was posting up like, look at me, I'm so sad and shit.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't handle it anymore because I
That's
did
right.
do a sincere comment in his first post. I was like, listen, dude, a lot of bad shit's happened with me in my life.
Yeah.
Tragic, sad, hopeless, scary fucking shit.
Yeah.
But I'm better for it.
Yeah.
So it's actually turned out to be a blessing.
Yeah.
In those times when
I
you
one
see
time also same dude is like, I want to kill myself and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, I can't even remember what I said, but I said some shit that like,
some nasty shit,
no,
right?
I told him some good stuff. I said like, listen, bro, like
Yeah,
whatever you think it is right now, it's definitely not
sincere,
it. You're
right,
just like locked into
right,
a thing where you feel like this, but I was like, this is some traumatic shit that you need to heal,
right,
and you need to be brave enough to step beyond yourself, to
right,
not be fucking trapped into your little cave, right?
right.
And the guy always said some bullshit back to me, some snarky,
He's
like
like, leave me
twisted,
alone. I want to be
venomous
right,
little like thing
right,
jab that he
right.
came out to
Mm.
me, and I was just like, all right, bro. Like, you know what? You can go to sleep in your toxicity. I don't give a fuck. Like,
Right.
at this point, if you want to kill yourself, stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
Like,
Stop
oh,
announcing it,
well,
dude. Do it.
I want to do it. No, dude, a
Right.
real man does it.
Yeah.
A real man
Don't,
kills himself. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
don't
joking, guys.
advertise. Yeah.
Joking. Fucking, this is a fucking joke. All right,
Yeah, it is a joke.
it's not real. Don't kill yourself. There's a lot more to live for in life. Don't be
That's the
stupid.
point of this
That's
conversation.
yes.
It's not that you should just end it
Yeah,
all.
no, and the contrary, like if ending it all is the dumbest fucking
Yeah.
decision you can make.
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
you're well, let me just close with this then. Like
yeah,
I just saw the Theo Von Cat Williams podcast,
yeah,
and Cat Williams has gone through some shit in his life. I think he's been in jail. Like
yeah,
he's kind of ousted by Hollywood and like the fame guys because he's always been this like weird, truth sayer kind of guy. But he was telling Theo Von, the comedian, he was telling him like, dude, if you've gone through some bad shit in your life and you're still alive, sort of as we started this podcast with the poem
yeah,
if you've gone through some bad shit and you're still alive and you're still up there standing, fighting, breathing, advancing, doing what you're doing, then success is guaranteed.
yeah,
It'll come.
yeah,
So, I would like to close sort of with that kind of message.
yeah,
Maybe next time we could talk about how those dips were,
yeah,
but also what it did to us.
yeah.
In Spanish, they said, te curaste del espanto.
Hmm.
Like you got cured from being
From
afraid.
fright. Yeah,
Yeah, from fright.
yeah,
And the only way you can be cured from fear is by facing dark moments and coming out on the other side and realizing that this too shall end,
yeah.
you know?
And fundamentally,
So
everything is just revealing more of you. No
it
matter
is.
what you do, it's all about revealing more of you.
It's
You
showing who you
are, it's like what Naval Ravikant says, right? This is a massive online role-playing game, and you're the lead character. And
are. Right
so
on.
it's
Right
about,
on.
and I think Mark Manson, the dude who wrote that, How to Not Give a Fuck About.
Charles Manson, nice brother.
I don't
I don't
know.
know who.
Mark Manson,
I,
he said the one about Zero Fucks, the book that it's a motivational book.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah. Yeah.
fundamental laws of not giving a fuck, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah,
But yeah, he actually got a video on his channel where he was talking about how life is like a game, but you don't know the rules. And it's
yeah.
like in a game, you start off with like certain skill sets that's known and stuff like that, and you got to get better over time. But in life, it's inverted. You don't know what your skill sets are. You got to discover it. It's like the whole mechanism of playing the game is
Right,
different when you
right,
understand those rules. And so, and ours is all about self-discovery. It's about this
right,
reflection. It's not being outside,
right.
not being the victim, not being
No.
this, but actually saying, you know what, fuck it. Let's start working. Let's do the
How
work.
deep is inner space?
Well,
How
that's what I
far?
like.
Right,
The magicians are all about doing the great work, and the
right,
great work is yourself.
right.
It's that simple. It's
It's
like,
transforming your lead
yeah,
and lack of knowledge, your fears, your everything into gold.
100%.
You know,
Excellent. All right.
brother, I love you, man.
Yeah, me too, man.
Good talk.
We're not going to be able to do work after because I got a meeting in like 20 minutes,
I
but
actually too, because my daughter's coming out of school earlier
fine.
today.
But it was
So
good. I liked it. The podcast will keep them coming. Clips will come out. Anyway, everybody, thanks. If you're still here, if you did listen throughout the whole process, thank you for being here.
wow.
Let us know. You're an amazing person because there's some dead space in the middle there
Yeah.
somewhere. So,
Yeah, we say some dumb shit. So,
yeah. But anyway, thank you.
apologize for
We
that.
appreciate you guys. Peace
All
out.
right. All
All
right,
right,
bro.
later on.
Peace
All
out,
right.
man.
Lates. Bye.